Hey, good morning. Christy Renee here. How is everybody on this glorious, beautiful, wonderful day? We have some blue skies here. It's like 28 degrees, but it's still pretty nice out. I am jumping on today to let you all know that I'm taking a break until probably early next year. At some point, I'll come back for self-healing reasons and just different things that I am feeling I'm needing to step back from for a while. I don't know, it's interesting. It's interesting watching the world go the direction it is, and not buying into any of it is even more interesting, I suppose. There's a lot of things I just don't know what to think, and I try not to think a whole lot anyway. So and I'm not getting much from spirit on it. There's people out there teaching really definite, it is this and this is what's going to happen next kind of stuff in the spiritual world, in the spiritual realm, not in the realm itself, but in our realm, teaching spiritual stuff, that it is the infinite idea. This is how it's going to work and what's going to happen and how it's going to play out. And I've listened to a few people lately and I just shake my head and I'm like, how do you know? And the answer is always kind of the same. I heard from spirit, but there's all these contrasting ideas out there where people heard from spirit. And I'll be really honest with you, spirit's never said any of it to me. So either that means it's not meant for me, or I'm just not listening very well. Because then I would hear both. Could be this, right? Whatever is about to happen. The timeline's going to split, and everybody who's of high enough vibration will go this direction. Everybody who missed the mark on the vibration goes this direction. There's literally people out there saying stuff like that. There's people out there saying stuff like there's going to be a split happen, but everybody grades. Everybody moves up to the 5D, if that's a thing. Because there's also people that say that 5D isn't a thing, that we're actually not in a third dimensional realm. We are in a third frequency realm. And there's 12 frequencies in this realm to get to the next, what could be considered a dimension, I suppose. And we're only at the third frequency. So if we're moving frequencies, the obvious question is, why are we skipping number 4, whether it's a dimension or a frequency? And then people have their reasons why they think we're doing that. And I'm just like, none of this makes any sense to me. It really doesn't. And I'm not going to even go into what makes sense to me right now, except to say that keep going inward, keep doing your own personal work, keep allowing and noticing. I'm going to let my dog in real fast. Noticing yourself as you move through all these spaces in time and as stuff goes along. I think there's a huge level of the misunderstandings throughout both. And I think a lot of it is put into the system by the system, even in the spiritual realm, right? The whole New Age thing, while there was some truth to it, there was also some misleading things, especially with the idea of manifestation. Very misleading things. You know, how do you keep a person thrown off track? You give them a little truth and then you tell them a lie, right? So they bite into it because they get the truth and they can feel that, but then the lie part kind of spirals you out of control. So be wary, be watchful, right? If your spirit is not in agreement with something, don't go that way. To me, it's super simple in that regard. Healing is super simple. If you figure out that you can wedge yourself in between the place of sleep and wake, and then hit a note of gratitude, and just stay there. It involves a lot of different brainwave frequencies. It involves a lot of frequencies in general. And if you let yourself start to resonate in that place, it's like magic. And it's literally that easy. So you have to learn and you have to go through the arduous task of learning something, but the learning would be Let yourself start to drift off to sleep and then stop yourself in that place. Know what it feels like so that you can get back to it easily, so that when you're walking around in your day, if you need to be in that altered state, all of a sudden you can just go there. I've been practicing doing this for a while, and it's interesting the things that can happen in the outer field around you when you can maintain that altered state, which I don't at this point believe is an altered state. I think it's quite normal and natural. We just weren't taught that. We weren't taught how to use the energy in the field around us at all. So healing, right? Think of the thing that you're working on healing, body part, organ, whatever it is. Assign no outcome to it. No outcome. Just think of the thing. I'm thinking, so my lungs are always a thing, used to be, that comes up the most. So I go there, I think of the lungs, and then I put myself in that state. And then I open my heart in gratitude. And while the thing I thought of first kind of goes by the wayside, I'm more focusing on the feeling that's flowing through my body, those sensations of frequency. What's happening in my brain, what my heart feels like, that opening in gratitude and love and connection to myself, to the cosmos. And then even the feeling in your gut, let your gut expand. You want all of it connected. And I just stay there. And magic happens every single time. I can't explain it, it just does. I did just explain it. That's how I do it and what happens. It's magic. Just practicing being in those higher states all the time. You have practiced and been taught to practice your whole life to be in a negative state. Be in a different state and see what wealth it can yield, and then alter and do it again. Right? You have to play with the frequencies just to see what they'll do for you. And when you can continually do that over and over, you'll start to notice the greatest change. Another thing I've been working on for quite a while is getting rid of my identities. The ego identity. Identities are directly related to the concept of ego. The ego's out of control. Well, what is that? The easiest way to explain your ego is through your identities. Who do you think you are? All of your labels, and I would sit down and make a list. Write them down. Start with the easy stuff. Wife, mother, sister, daughter. Start with the easy stuff. Chef, physical educator, nutritionist, energy worker, healer, searcher, I'm a divine seeker. All the stuff you've labeled yourself with identity. It causes you to be a certain way. That's how you know it's an identity. It causes you to be a certain way. And then in that, go back through those labels and take a look at where they affect your life. How do you act? How do you respond in those, when you're acting as one of those labels? And then take the label off, even point at it. That's what I keep doing, is I point at it and say, that is not me. And there's good stuff with it and there's bad stuff with it, but both of those are of this plane and will keep you from reaching your divine potential. Bringing all of your energy back to your central sun, your Dantian, into your system, your energy. Quit leaking it out and giving it away. I'm going to tell you a little story. It happened just yesterday morning. I don't typically go see healers. I don't let people typically work in my energy field. And if you have, it's because I thought I saw something special there. So I'll know that right up front. I don't typically do that because you usually end up with with weird outcomes that just add to the, right? It always adds to the mayhem. I had a Reiki lady do something over me the other day that I did not ask for, was not expecting. And I was just like, holy goodness, serious, get off of me. Long story, I won't even go into that. But yesterday I went to see a healer, a couple of ladies, I didn't even know what they did for sure, at the advice of somebody else who was like, oh, this was crazy amazing. And my spirit was like, go do that. So I did. And they have these little pens. They look kind of like this, actually. And there's two of them. And she says they're ion emitters. And so she was touching me in different places. And I could feel it, like it was giving me little shocks and stuff. And there was a lot of muscle testing and vial holding. And she reset my blood sugars in 3 different levels of emotion. Never heard of this before. So I have to eat differently. So my response to the work she did is that I have to no sugar, no carbs, no, right, for a period of time to let my body reset to its homeostasis. In the middle of doing all of this, she looked at me and she goes, you're not in your body, because a lot of the tests kept going off and she would have to redo them and they were still not quite as strong as she was looking for, I guess. She goes, you're not in your body. And I started laughing. I was like, I haven't been in my body my whole life. Is that an identity? But I haven't been in my body my whole life from an incident that occurred when I was little. And she goes, and from your death experience in December, I was like, oh, for sure. Yeah, no, definitely not back in my body from that. And I honestly don't care to get back in my body from that. And she looked at me and she goes, okay, let me explain it to you like this. Your body is matter. Your spirit is energy. It takes the energy to run the matter. If you want to heal this, your spirit has to be back in your body so the energy can circulate and do its job. It is why the circulation of your energy has been so off, and probably for your whole life. Oh, what's my response? Literally, the batting of the eyes and everything. I was like, So she put my spirit back in my body and I allowed it. I had to come to a place of allowing in order to receive that back into this physical form that I have been so standoffish against. And it felt weird and I got really, really queasy. The body got queasy feeling. I was like, whoa. And I was just like, settle in. I said that to settle in. And she looked at me kind of funny. She's like, you all right? And I was like, nope. All right. Gave me a glass of water, all that kind of stuff. Did a few other little tests to kind of bring me back into alignment. And when I said settle in, it finally just settled in and I was like, whoa. Wow. And all of the energy from all kinds of stuff just went back into my central sun. I feel like a superhero this morning. I feel absolutely amazing. And she went on to explain to me that probably 90%, if not more, of people on the planet right now are either not fully in their body or they are totally out of their body and they have no idea. She goes, usually it's the first thing we check for. They do the blood sugar stuff and then they check to make sure your spirit is adequately in touch with your body, because if it's not, you are leaking energy all over the place. And energy can be taken from you easily if you are not set inside your body fully. And I have done work around bringing my spirit back in. I leave, I come and go all the time. She's like, you can still come and go. That's not the thing. We just want you fully intact inside your own physical temple so that you can get it operating functionally. Cracks me up. Like I'm just amused at this point. So I feel totally different this morning. My back quit hurting. My rib cage still feels weird. So I'm going tomorrow morning to have that readjusted one more time. But the rest of me feels pretty interesting. I don't necessarily want to say I feel really solid, but not solid in the sense of matter solid. I feel a wholeness that I have never felt in this lifetime. I am receiving information more clearly, and I receive stuff clear anyway. Like, to me, it was never not clear, but if it's possible, this is more clear. And I think it's because I can operate from this self, from this physical self, as my higher self, without there being a dislocation or a disconnection, because the energy itself is back inside my body. Interesting. So I'm taking a few months off, back to where we started. But there's little things that you can keep doing for yourself if you put the time into practice. And people will always say the same thing: I do not have time. You might want to find the time. If you are one of those persons that sits in front of a TV for 30 minutes a day, and that's it, take that 30 minutes and start making lists of your identities and outlining what those identities traits are and how they make your physical life around you. Right? Start doing the work in silence inside yourself, in coherence. Start practicing a coherent state that you can drop into that fast. Take that 30 minutes to do something besides what you typically do with it. 5 minutes, 3 minutes, structured hourly. Every hour that you're awake will make such a huge difference in your life. If you're putting that little bit of effort in over time in a consistent way, amazing things will happen. They just will. This is the simplicity of all of this stuff. We have made it so much more convoluted and hard than it has to be. So much more convoluted and hard. And there's so many misinformation campaigns in the spiritual world that it's mind-boggling. This doesn't have to be hard. If you start with the identities and start disconnecting those identities from yourself, from the trueness of what you are, disconnect your identities from your identity. Yes. Now, who are you? If I don't have to play the roles, if I'm not acting as, I can still do the work, I can still be the thing, but I don't have to have the responses, right? One of my worst identities that I've noticed, and I call it worst, I don't know, better, worse, whatever, was that I have to be the last person standing. And it comes from an incident in my child. I know exactly where it came from. And I have been acting in regard to that belief, to that identity, my whole life. Everybody else can fall down. Everybody else can take a break. Everybody else can go get some sleep. I'll still be here when you wake up. My whole life. The only way you'll start identifying those identities is to start high on the list. I'm a mother, sister, daughter, friend, the easy stuff first. And then as you're moving through those, these other things start to emerge. And as you see those, you do the same thing. Either that's not me, or I don't have to do that anymore. Because it's not, and you don't. And honestly, it doesn't serve anybody, including you. The people who were taking advantage of those aspects of you, nah, not anymore. I'm going to go take my 2-month break. Today is October 31st. In the secular world, or whatever they call it, it's Halloween. We give out Izzy juices on Halloween to the kids that come to our house. Tonight we're giving out Izzy juices. They can have their pick of the flavor of what we've got. And then they also get a light stick, a glow stick. So that's what we do. We've done this for 5 years in a row now. There's no pumpkins on the porch. There's no hay bales. There's no scarecrows. It's just opening the door and saying hi and seeing these little people that are so lost in a world they have no idea what they're even celebrating. And by opening the door, I'm hopefully exposing them to some energy that will help them shift somewhere in their lifetime. Planting seeds. Planting seeds. You are not that. You are not that. So I hope that's what this video is for you. Our Saturday night classes I did not make last week because we were actually having electric problems. What do you call it? Internet stuff was going weird and the electricity kept flicking on and off. But so those are going to be off for a while. I hope the information that was in those 10 classes, I started out only doing 7 and did 10. I hope that blessed you in some regard. If it didn't, that's fine too. But if it did, take it and run with it. Use it. Use it. The concept is you have to do it to get the benefit from it, right? None of this stuff is think about it once and call it done. It doesn't work that way. You are in a time locked, space locked situation where you have to utilize the function of the energy to make it work for you. All right. Outside of that, I love you and I bless you. Thank you for being here. Thank all of you who've been watching my videos, especially the last number of months. I bless you in all the work that you're doing for yourself and for humanity and everything that's going on the planet. One way or another, we get through this because at the end of the day, we're spirit, we're not the physical matter. So however it ends up, I'll see you on the other side. Thank you so much for being here.